Hey, this is the Spaniard keeping it tight, and welcome to another episode of the As If Philosophy of the series. Now, the question I got for you today is, do you ever have those days where nothing seems to go right or just the frustration level is just beyond the charts? Well, today I'm going to be talking about frustration, so stick around. We'll be right back. The As If Philosophy, the series, with your host, Anthony Chapa, the Spaniard. The views and commentary of the show are that of the host and doesn't reflect that of BlackSheep LLC. So are you ready for the show? Here is the Spaniard. Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's the Spaniard here, Anthony Chapa, author of the As If Philosophy, and you got it on another episode of the As If Philosophy of the series, episode 3. Now, today, we're going to be talking about frustration, all right? So the question was asked, do you ever have those days where things don't go right and the frustration level is off the charts, and you sometimes find yourself gripping or pounding the steering wheel on the way or to work, from work, what have you, dropping off the kids? Well, you're not alone, okay? Because today I'm going to be talking about how to recognize this before it even happens, but not only that, but how to pull yourself out of this. So when we talk about frustration, all right, it is a response, right? We look at the definition, but before we get to that, I want to ask you a question first. Whenever we get frustrated, who's to blame for all this, right? Whose fault is it? When all this stuff starts to happen, whose fault is it? Well, the answer, my friends, you're not going to like, because the answer is you. You are to blame for all this frustration. And I'll tell you why. Let's back up just a little bit. Let's talk about what frustration actually means. The definition of frustration is the emotional response to opposition. Yeah, sounds pretty heavy, doesn't it? Well, let's break that down a little bit, because you know me, the Spaniard likes to break stuff down. So we're going to look at that first part, emotional response. All right, emotional response. Let's take a look at emotional first. What is emotion, right? What is emotion? Emotion comes in many different sizes and forms, but the ones that we are mostly associated with is anger and disappointment and just disgust, all those negative things that come with the negative side of emotion. And then we have the word response. How do we respond to these emotions? All right, that's a great, just those two words right there requires a lot of deep thought, but I'm not gonna make you work today, so I will take it easy on that. But we'll go to the next word. The next word was opposition. Yeah, that sounds like a really cool word. Your opposition. What is opposing you? What gets in your way? Right? So we're gonna look at those two things right there: emotional response and then opposition. The other key component to frustration is perceived resistance. Yeah, perceived resistance. That sounds pretty intense, doesn't it? But really, when you think about it, how do we look? How do we perceive our own opposition, or resistance? Whenever we get faced with a roadblock, whenever we get denied access, anything, and it causes an emotional response to that opposition, we get frustrated. Right? But do we perceive that as resistance? What actually is it? All right? What is that? So we will be denied, we will be blocked, etc. We're gonna have those traffic jams. We're gonna have those incidences at the shopping malls or the grocery stores where things just don't go our way. Things get in our way of getting to our goal, right? And we get opposition, and it causes an emotional response. So here's the fix. Here's how to remedy this. First thing we're going to do is we have to change your perception, right? I know it sounds very Jedi-ish, but when you think about it, let's just take a moment to really think about our day. How do we start our day, right? Do we get up? Do we have a routine? I know I have a routine. I get up, I have a glass of water, I take a walk around the house just to make sure everything's working right, that's just my thing, and then I go about my day, about my morning. So you got to change your perception of how you see things now. Whenever you do come across an opposition, a roadblock, how do you perceive that? Do you perceive that as a resistance, as something that's getting in your way, or just something that's just minor, that's something you can just walk over and continue on? Right? So that's what the first thing we're going to do. It sounds very simple, but some of us have a hard time of actually changing our perception. We've been so accustomed to to routine and procedure and policies and things of that. We're so drawn by the different guidelines that we are so accustomed to that it could be a little bit difficult. But give yourself a chance. You got to give this a chance in order for it to work, and I guarantee you this will work. So you got to change your perception. How do we do that? Well, I always like to recommend the 3 R's. This is the 3 R's: research, recon, and redeploy tactics. All right, I'm going to say that again: research, recon, redeploy tactics. All right, so let's go back to that traffic scenario. You got to get to work or wherever you got to be. You got an appointment at 9 a.m. in the morning, and you got to get there. What do you normally do? Okay, you set your alarm, you do your thing. But in the past, you've realized that every time you do this, you end up gripping that steering wheel, pounding it, you get frustrated. You know what I'm talking about. Well, let's change that perception. Let's change that. If we know we got to be someplace at 9, let's do our research. All right, where we have to go. We're going to have to drive. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a society where there's other people among us. We have to travel amongst them. We must work amongst us. We must do all those things together. So there's going to be traffic, all right? There's going to be a commute. Be prepared. Research. Where do we got to go? I got to go to Chicago. All right, how's the best way to get there? Should I drive? Should I take the train? What's the best way? Research. Recon. Second part. Recon now is more of reconnaissance. I'm going to get there. I'm going to try this out. I'm actually going to get there. And once I'm there, I'm going to look at other ways of how I can get around this in case I need to come back again. I'll be more familiar with the area. Parking spots, places to go to get information, things like that. And then redeploy. All right, you got to keep doing this over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, there is not a one cure fix or a one-stop shop cure for anything that we have, that we endure. All right, so let's get that through our heads first. We got to keep trying at this. Redeploy. You got to keep doing it over and over again. All right, 2 of the fix. Hey, get a punching bag. If you're that frustrated, if life gets you that frustrated, get a punching bag. You don't even have to hang it up. I'll show you in another video of how to do a great workout with just a punching bag on the ground. So 3, change that frustration energy into curiosity. Ooh, yeah, what the hell does that mean? Well, let me back up a little bit. You know that energy you have when you get frustrated, you're pounding the steering wheel, you're gripping it, you're clenching your teeth, all those things that come associated with that energy that comes along with frustration. Well, we got to convert that, all right? That energy can be used in another way. What do I mean by that? Well, you got to make do with what you got. If you haven't known me by now, I'm all about improvising, adapting, and overcome. So if I have that kind of energy, I'm going to use it to good use. I'm going to put it to good use, right? Who wouldn't? No, let's make that into nervousness, a little nervous energy by doing something we're not familiar with. That will really set the tempo for your upcoming days of trying to change this frustration. So what do I mean by that? Try a yoga class. I know it sounds really dumb, but it helps, right? It's unfamiliar to me. At one time, I did not know what yoga was, and I let my curiosity get to me. I wanted that. I wanted to test myself. I wanted to challenge myself, and I went, and I'm glad I did. It was only $10. What, $10-15 for a drop-in? It's not a big deal. Just try it. You might like it. Or do something else. Try a new class. There's always cooking classes, how to draw, how to paint, what have you. Just try stand-up. There are some places that have open mic nights. Challenge yourself. Push yourself to the limits so that whenever you do get that frustrative moment and you need that balance, that's your body's way of telling you need to either slow it down or try something new. You're letting this shit really get to you. So let's bring it down a notch. Let's change it a bit. All right, so there you have it, folks. The question was, have you ever had those days where things don't go right and you just have one of those frustrating days and it just throws you into a tailspin? Well, we talked about that, how to recognize it, and ways to get out. How do we do that? Change your perception was 1. 2, get a punching bag. And 3, change that frustrative energy into curiosity. All right, well, we hope we covered a lot today. We got some answers to your questions. It was a great way to connect. Again, join us next week. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the intimacy world. Yeah, we're going to be talking about sex. You said it. That's right. I said it. It's sex. We're talking sex. So join me next week. If you have any questions or concerns, comments, or any future topics for the show, drop me a line at blacksheepbravo@gmail.com. And I will be happy to share your thoughts and comments. So comment below as well. If you have any ideas of how to deal with frustration, I want to hear from you. go ahead and drop me a comment down below. And if you would ever be interested in being a guest on any of our shows that Black Sheep Bravo produces, please reach out to me as well. All right, that's enough time for me. This is the Spaniard keeping it tight with another episode of the As If philosophy of the series. Have a great week, and we'll catch you on the flip side. This is the Spaniard out.